They march, they chant, they believe, and then they vanish. History doesn't whisper this pattern. It screams it. Yet somehow the same archetype keeps showing up. The idealistic foot soldier of revolution. The loudest voice in the square, the first to be silenced when power changes hands. Let's talk about them. The useless idiots, as regimes have called them. Not because they were dumb, but because they were disposable. Like chewing gum with a manifesto. The brown shirts. From muscle to muzzle! The 𝙨𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙪𝙦, better known as the brown shirts, weren't leftists. They were far-right paramilitaries who helped Hitler rise by smashing opposition, intimidating voters, and turning rallies into UFC matches with worse lighting. But once the Nazi regime secured power, they became a liability. Ernst Röhm, their leader, dreamed of a second revolution. One that threatened the military elite in Hitler's new alliances. So what did Hitler do? He didn't send a thank you note. He sent the SS! During the Night of the Long Knives in 1984, Röhm and dozens of SS leaders were executed. Their eyes didn't just close, they were erased. Scrubbed from the narrative like blood from a marble floor, the very fists that built the regime were the first to be crushed by it. Arren 1979, revolution's forgotten children! Fast forward to Tehran, the Shah is gone. The streets roar with Marxists, secularists, and Islamic leftists who helped topple the monarchy. They believed they were building a just society. They believed they'd have a seat at the table. They didn't realize the table was already set, and they were the appetizers. Ayatollah Khomeini consolidated power, and the purges began. Leftist groups like the Make and To the Party were hunted, imprisoned, executed, thousands disappeared. Their names faded from headlines, their bodies from morgues. The revolution had no room for dissent, not even from its own architects. They were the brown shirts of Iran, used and erased. And not even a commemorative. Cuba, the revolution that ate its own. Fidel Castro swept into power on a wave of hope. The slogans were intoxicating. Patria o muerte. Translation, homeland or death. Socialismo o muerte. Translation, socialism or death. The revolution promised equality, dignity, and liberation from imperialism. And for a while, it looked like paradise. Intellectuals, artists, and progressives from around the world flocked to Havana, believing they were witnessing utopia in real time. Then came the purge. Writers were censored, dissidents jailed, LGBTQ plus Cubans sent to labor camps. Even Che Guevara, the revolution's poster child, was sidelined and sent abroad until he was eliminated in Bolivia. The revolution didn't just silence critics, it disappeared them. The slogans remained, the voices behind them did not. Russia. All power to the Soviets until it wasn't! The Bolsheviks rose on the back of one of history's most iconic slogans. All power to the Soviets! It was a rallying cry for workers, soldiers, and peasants to seize control from the Tsarist regime and the provisional government. But once Lenin and later Stalin consolidated power, the Soviets, the very councils meant to represent the people, became rubber stamps for authoritarian rule. Opposition parties were banned, intellectuals purged, millions sent to gulags. Trotsky, once Lenin's right hand, was hunted down and assassinated in Mexico. The revolution promised power to the people. What it delivered was power to the party and a graveyard of those who believed otherwise. Venezuela, Bolivarian Revolution, and the vanishing hope! Hugo Chávez's Bolivarian Revolution was drenched in progressive language, social justice, anti-imperialism, power to the people. He promised to lift the poor, fight corruption, and create a new socialist dawn. And yes, for a time he did! But then, independent media were shut down, political opponents jailed or exiled, protesters shot in the streets. The economy collapsed, millions fled the country. The revolution didn't just fail, it turned on its own. The same students and activists who once chanted, Chávez no se va! Translation: Chavez won't leave, we're now hunted, silenced, or forced into exile. Today's echo! Protesters without homework! Now look around, the modern extreme left in its zeal to support causes like Palestine often ignores the full picture. Syria's atrocities, silent Iran's repression, glossed over Egypt's towering border wall with Gaza, twice the height of Israel's, reinforced with concrete and steel. Not a whisper. Why? Because nuance is inconvenient, because slogans are easier than research, because TikTok doesn't reward footnotes. And when the dust settles, if the regimes they support ever gain power, guess who'll be first on the chopping block? The loudest, the most idealistic, the ones who believed they were doing good but never asked who they were doing it for. The pattern is not a coincidence. Brown shirts, eliminated by the Nazis they empowered. Iranian leftists, disappeared by the Islamic Republic they helped birth. Cuban revolutionaries, silenced by the regime they built. Russian Soviets, erased by the party they trusted. Venezuelan activists, crushed by the movement they cheered. This isn't cynicism, it's history, and history doesn't care how good your intentions are. It only cares who holds the knife. Protest with eyes open!
Protest is noble, but blind protest is dangerous. If you don't know the ideology you're feeding, you might be feeding the beast that devours you next.
So, read Question Dig, because if you don't, you might just become another useless idiot, a footnote in someone else's rise to power. Useless idiots. A history of being used, chewed, and silenced. Useless idiots. How revolutions use you, chew you, and erase you!